Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
Portions of the day's programming are reproduced by means of electrical transcriptions or tape recording.
Welcome to episode 121 of Sports Card Nation. Man, that sounds good. But we have a great show. I know I say that all the time, but we do. Today's guest, Black Jaded Wolf. I met the company's called Black Jaded Wolf. I met Sharon Chong, one of the owners, in Chicago at the National in 2019. They had quite a few showcases out. I don't know how many tables they had, but man, they have some inventory. And they're big into they're a bulk submitter to grading, PSA. I think they do Beckett as well. But some inventory. And another thing I like, they're from my hometown of Brooklyn. They just opened this year, or the back end of 2020, a new store only a few blocks from the Barclays Center where my Brooklyn Nets play. Haven't made it down there yet with the pandemic and stuff. Haven't got back home as much as I like or at all yet. And so definitely going to visit them in person, maybe as early as this, maybe sometime this year or next. But wanted to have them on, Sharon Chong and Chewy Francisco. Sharon's right-hand man in the store is going to join us. And had a great conversation about current events and predictions of where we think the hobby's headed to and going to go. And, you might be surprised at some of what you hear. But Sharon's been doing this a long time, and Chewy knows his stuff as well. And so it was great to banter with them and talk about the hobby and what they're doing, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. So with that being said, let's get this show going. Time for this week's incoming product releases. All right, we're already in April. Time's flying. Let's see what's coming out this week. Nothing too early, with release date being show release date on the 2nd, but on April 7th, we have 2021 Leaf Draft Football Hobby Blasters. Also on the 7th, 2021 Sage Premier Draft Low Series Football Blasters. Staying on the 7th, 2021 Topps Tribute Baseball. Same day, 2020-21 Upper Deck Black Diamond Hockey. Same day here on the 7th, 2020-21 Upper Deck Skybox Metal Universe Hockey. That should be interesting to say the least. On the 9th, 2020 Panini Select Football. In 2020, Panini's Contenders Optic Football. And that closes out this week's release. I can tell you next week's going to be even bigger with releases. So choose your weapon and get ripping. Hey folks, tired of going to the retail store and finding the wax shelves cleaned out bare? I've got the answer for you. And that answer is Hotbox Cards. They offer a monthly subscription service at a great price level. What's better than getting a box of sports cards on your doorstep every month? Not a whole lot. And these boxes don't cost a whole lot. Let me tell you what's in each and every hot box. 3 Relic or Auto cards, 3 unopened hobby packs, 50 bonus cards featuring stars, rookies, semi-stars, inserts, and parallels. And 1 in every 5 boxes has a red-hot envelope with a surprise card. They also honor expired redemptions with a comparable item, so there's no worry about getting that old redemption card with nothing to show for it. Check them out at www.hotboxcards.net and put in promo code SCNation, SCNation all in caps, to get a 4th free hit instead of the usual 3. In April, they are celebrating opening day by giving away a 2020 Topps 582 Montgomery Club Gavin Lux rookie auto. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, let's start with the big news of the hobby. PSA has suspended all submissions short of the express level service. This comes about a month after they announced a significant price increase to begin with. So if you're putting two and two together here, they raised the prices to slow down the submissions so they can catch up. I believe those price increases did not slow down submissions enough, and they really had, I guess, no alternative if they're going to attempt to even catch up. Reported, I've heard 10 million cards backlogged. I've heard 13 million cards backlogged. Any way you slice it, it's a lot of cards they have to catch up on. And so they made this extreme decision. It's for the next 3 months. They said that they hope to be open those back up on July 1st. It'll be interesting to see a few things. Number one, will they be able to hit that July 1st benchmark? And number two, if they do, are the prices going to go up again so that they kind of stay ahead of the backlog they just digged themselves out? I'm going to be very opinionated here. Whether you agree or not, here's how I feel. I don't like it. I get why. I'm not arguing the why. I understand the strategics and the demographics and why this is happening. But it's the equivalent of shutting your doors for 3 months. Someone say, well, they're not shutting the doors. They got Express and Super Express. Well, that's $300 a card and $600 a card level. I mean, if you're sending cards in at that level, you're talking about some serious high-end stuff. You're talking about 5-digit cards, 6-digit, maybe higher. And so for all intents and purposes, for 90% of the grading base, they are shutting their doors for 3 months. And I don't agree with it. I know why they do it. I get the premise here, but I think it stinks. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bad look to me. It's really them knowing where they stand in the marketplace, honestly. They know most people are going to be there for them when they open up again, whenever that is. And here's the thing. I say this all the time. I know it's easier said than done, but, we, the hobby, every one of us, kind of control this. I don't know if we know that or not, but, if we determine, hey, well, they're not going to be the big boy in the block anymore. We're not going to send anything to them anymore. We're going to go in a different direction. We can change that tide. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't. I'm just saying we wave that wand should we all kind of collectively choose to do it. I've seen some people on social media say that's the end of them sending the PSA. This is not the first issue with them. Obviously, they've had some trimming issues, slab issues, FBI investigation. They're not squeaky clean. They never have been, that and them never been used in the same sentence. And so this is just another thing that I think sort of a negative in the grand scheme of things. I know some people are like, this is beautiful, they're going to catch up, we'll get our stuff back eventually in time again on a regular basis. And I'm not sure I'm buying that. I'm not sure they're going to be out of their hole by July 1st. I think maybe there's a little wishful thinking. We're obviously going to have to let that stuff play out and see how they do. But you know what? People are going to submit cards. In that 3 months, they are going to find alternative places to grade, I believe. Now, so PSA announces this the following day, and I actually had to edit this segment of the show to reflect the recent goings-ons. SGC announces a 3 times price increase from $25 to $75. I know they are a sponsor. I love how they grade. I think they are the best grading company as far as accuracy. But the price increase is crazy. I can't stand here in front of this mic and say otherwise. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell myself out. I'm not going to show. I love SGC. This move is head scratching. And it's a game changer, not a good way if you ask me. Full disclosure, I had a private communication with Mr. Peter Steinberg, the president of SGC. I was very honest with him on my thoughts of it. He gave me his reasonings. He's always welcome to come on and talk about it. And if he's hearing this, he knows that offer still stands. And it was a great opportunity for them to really gain a real great market share after the PSA decision. And I think it's going to go by the wayside here. It's $75 a card for that company. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for whatever company, quite frankly. It's not even me so much picking on SGC. And, he gave me his reasons for why they did it, and whether I agree with him or not is neither here nor there. I don't make those decisions. Peter and that group do. That's what they decided to do, and I don't know how this is gonna work, but I think it's a very risky move. I think it's going to be a very uphill battle. I know social media is really going after him. You got to expect that. The other thing I expressed was, why make that announcement on April 1st? We all know everyone gags and goofs on April 1st. And matter of fact, the full disclosure, I won't mention who, someone actually texted me while I was sleeping and said they heard a rumor that this was going to happen. And so when I first woke up, I actually read the text and responded to that person and said, listen, it's April 1st. It's April 1st, and there's going to be all sorts of weird stuff like that today. And here we are. It's real. I don't know. I don't know. It's, I know a lot of people saying they're not sending. I think, man, if you're CSG right now, you better be ready. Are they going to make an announcement here shortly that they are raising the prices? Maybe by the time you're hearing this, that's already happened. But at the time I'm recording this, it hasn't. So CSG, I think, is going to be the benefactor of both of these decisions from PSA and SGC. And now the question is, can they handle the onslaught? That's to be determined. But right now, the spotlight is going to be on them. Beckett, again, I don't mention them because they're in that higher tier with that very expensive level to send your cards in to get graded. So as far as the affordable levels that still have hobby respect, CSG is really on the clock now, and this is their moment to see where they're going to, if they're going to get a foothold for sure in the grading card niche. But man, I tell you what, the grading industry, the grading niche, it's really like a soap opera from one week to next. what's going to happen, who's going to decide what. And, I will say this. Let me close this talking about grading with this. Everyone says, we're not PSA. We're not, we're better, or we do things a different way. But yet it's PSA's actions that dictate theirs. And that's not, I don't agree with that. Like, be your own, do your own thing, separate yourself from PSA or any other leader in the industry, if that's the perception, right? I'll leave it at that. In the nothing stays the same category, Star Stock, facing their own backlog, truth be told. I sent a pretty big submission, I think about over 300 cards. Really did not see a few got listed. It was kind of odd. A few got listed and then a bunch didn't. Got a little nervous, truth be told. Got a hold of them finally. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy. And they just said we're really, really backlogged at 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. My cards actually went up this week, but on the same day or the day after the PSA announcement, and I gotta give them credit. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. And it's not terrible news. I mean, it's different news. It's always was sort of free to submit to Star Stock. Not anymore. As of April 1st, and when you're hearing this, it's already in effect. Any card you submit to Star Stock will be 25 cents a card ingestion fee. Other than, one note, other than Fast Pass items. Fast Pass items now are only graded cards and wax boxes. So you won't have to pay 25 cents a graded card or wax boxes. And they will list those within a week is what they're wording it. But anything else other than graded cards and wax boxes are going to be probably 4 to 8 weeks and 25 cents each card instead of the previous free. I'll give them a little pass. I think they were, ambitious. The platform took off. Let's be honest with you. I can't tell you. I think I'm on my third or fourth submission where I've sold a lot of cards at decent prices, including many more than eBay levels. Very pleased with the ROI and the sales on the platform. The speed of getting them on there now, and it's really not their fault. It's just everybody's joining the show, right? They got hot. Everyone wants in, right? And so everyone, like grading, everyone is just throwing cards at them, and they got behind, and they finally said, hey, we got to charge something here. Maybe it'll slow it down a little bit, and we'll make some money on the front end, where they really weren't making money on the front end. So this one, I like anything in life, you don't like more cost. You don't like when your electric bill or your cable bill goes up. None of us do, right? So no, I don't really like the increase, but I can see this one. This one, you could kind of see that this day was coming. So 25 cents a card. It is what it is. If the platform remains similar to it is now, a lot of this stuff is going to sell at decent level of pricing and sort of make that 25 cents a card hurt a lot less.
Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude?
Tops, where's our card, dude? Putting together a Heritage set this year? You notice, man, I've opened a lot of Heritage, right? I haven't. I'm just saying. Where's my number 216 Kevin Biggio? I opened up 3 boxes. I didn't get one Kevin Biggio. How about you? You opened up a case? No Kevin Biggio? Know why? There is no card number 216. Didn't get printed. Printer mistake. So if you're missing 216, I got good news for you. You're not really missing it yet. Topps failed to print it. Released the product with no card number 216. But there will be a card number 216, Kevin Biggio. it's going to be released in the high series release. So when the high series come out, they'll put the 216s in there. It'll be interesting to see, do they really like just put a ton in there to make up? Do maybe they not put a ton in there and it's suddenly 216s really short printed because it's not in the series it should be and not prevalent in the high series that it's been placed into. This ought to be interesting. Kevin Biggio. And so, Topps, where's the card? There it is. It's going to be in the high number series, number 216. We had Mr. Ray Schulte on last week. Hope you heard that episode. Great interview with him. Told some great Don Mattingly stories. And then he answered all the questions swirling around the National. And if you heard it, you heard him tell you, like, all full steam ahead at this point, but they do have to honor, what the government and state mandates are, and they'll do that. And not a good sign, to be honest with you. The Chicago Sports Spectacular has been canceled, but, we still have time. But things are getting a little, touch and go here. So, cross our fingers that the National still is held and still held on time. But I think, the Chicago Sports Spectacular being canceled doesn't bode well. But again, a lot of time the vaccine's really, really starting to get rolled out. I'm going to, as you're listening to the episode, I had my shot today, at least scheduled, and assuming nothing gets screwed up, I've had my vaccine, and I hope a lot of other people are getting them and doing the due diligence to get, this flatten the curve, as the, medical professionals say. And if that happens in time, the National can go on. If there are bumps in the road or that doesn't happen quick enough, as we've seen here with the Chicago Sports Spectacular, it may not be good news. But again, it's too early to call. Sound like a political election race. Too early to call, but we'll see how this all plays out.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
Okay, folks, we got our interview coming up next with Sharon Chong and Chewy Francisco of Black Jaded Wolf. Great interview. I'm doing this little kind of addendum or prefix on it. When we recorded this interview, we're going to talk about the grading card industry and the niche. It was recorded a few weeks ago. So it was recorded before all the breaking PSA stopped taking in submissions and SGC's price increase. So what you're going to hear is us talking about grading, amongst other things. We're not just talking about grading. But when we start to talk about grading, just keep in mind that the news today was not out at that time. All right, with that being said, enjoy the interview.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Commence interview sequence. Glad to have my next two guests on the 101 Card Shop guest line. They're doing great things in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York, right near the Barclays Center, too, where my Brooklyn Nets play. So this is all good. But Black Jaded Wolf, Sharon Chong Chewy Francisco, for Black Jaded Wolf. Welcome to Sports Card Nation.
Hey, John. How's it going?
Hi, John. How are you? Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, man, thank you for accepting the invite and coming on. We know the hobby right now is just blowing up. It's like an inferno, in a good sort of way. Well, I'll get to that, sort of what we kind of our opinions on where that's eventually going to lead to. But it's the old boring standby podcast question, but we got to do it, right? Kind of each of you, if you can, kind of how you got in the hobby originally, and like sort of like where you are now, how it all led up to where you are now.
You start.
I'll start off. I started collecting maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Well, I kind of grew up with my dad or stepdad going to like mall shows, and he would like pick up baseball cards of like Clemente and stuff like that. And so I think maybe like early 2017, I wanted to get like a Carson Wentz rookie card for him or something. And ever since then, I just kept buying cards. It's like I've gotten more and more like into it as time has gone on, and like here I am now. So, and Sharon's story is probably a little more in depth.
Well,
She's been involved for
I'm a little
years.
older, so.
Well, I think I got you both beat, but go ahead, Sharon.
So, well, I started like around actually Kobe rookie year. So I used to go to school, and then around the corner, there's some shops, and I used to open packs every night when I come home from school, buy some packs, with whatever money I have. So it started with that, and then I got my first job. Almost every paycheck I spend in wax. And then after a couple of years, I just realized, wow, I have a lot of cards. I need to get rid of them. And then I went to a local show, and then I met a dealer that told me, how about I give you a small spot in the White Plains show, which is probably the biggest show in New York area.
East Coast National.
Yep.
Yep.
So since then, from my one showcase, he is out of the business, and I have 2 to 3 tables in White Plains shows now. And I started 2 business basically, the Black Jaded Wolf and the Grading by Black Jaded Wolf. And I'm hoping he's gonna be a big help, when it comes to the future.
Yeah. Well, what would you call him, an apprentice?
Oh yeah. He's definitely that. He answers back a little, but which is good.
But that's all right. That's all right. You need sometimes that's not a bad thing all the time. Keeps you on your game. Keeps you on your game. So yes. I never got to ask you this. Black Jaded Wolf, the name of your business. What's the story there? Where does it come from? How did you?
Okay, so one of my best friends. It's actually everybody asked me this, how I came with that name. It's actually a very boring reason. One of my best friends opened the Google account, and they asked her favorite color, favorite animal, favorite stone, and favorite animal, and favorite number. Basically, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
But it became it stuck on. A lot of people liked it, and I think it's catchy. It's unique. It's not just a regular sports.
It is. It's different. It's easy to remember because it's different, right? And even your logo with the wolf eyes. I mean, it's just can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. So we run with that basically for the last 15 years. I advertise. I spend money on that to kind of let that be out there, And, I don't know if you see the hat he's wearing. It's our first Black Jaded Wolf PSA hat.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it on social media. That's cool. Yeah.
This is with our PSA permission too. So.
Oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Well, you do. I met you briefly. I mean, it was hectic. Obviously, you meet a lot of people at the National. I met you real briefly. I might have left a business card. I can't even remember for sure. But I was looking at your inventory, just incredible, insane, in a good sort of way. And I whenever I see, I it's funny. I think I have some nice stuff, and then I see like stuff like that, and I sort of like run with my tail between my legs. But
No.
that's the great thing. I'm kidding, but just incredible inventory. Just talk a little bit of how do you acquire your inventory. I mean, obviously, maybe opening some stuff, but do you buy a lot of collections, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we basically buy a lot of collection. That's how I got started. I didn't consider myself an investor. I consider myself like a broker for people. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of customer, and they ask me ahead of time who to buy, and I kind of build portfolio for those people.
Yeah.
And then later years, when I could afford to hold some stuff for myself, I started accumulating and holding some stuff for myself. But it's mostly helping others to get a good collection, basically.
Yeah, which it's funny. I had a store from 19. I'm really old, so I had a store from 1992 to 97 before what we're seeing today in the hobby. Where before technology, grading at that time was in its infancy stages and nothing like we know it to be today. One of the problems, and I talked about this on one of my episodes. Sharon and Chewy. One of the problems I had a partner in my store named Angelo. One of the problems I had was, and he used to always say, "John, what are you doing?" Like I would always I'd have some stuff when I would keep it and not put it out in the showcases. And then the other thing, I not a ton, but a little bit, probably too much. Is that ever an issue? Do you ever say, "Man, I don't want to sell this. I'm gonna just look."
It's funny. So I want to hear his side, and I want to say my side. Okay.
So there's a lot of Sharon. Listening to her say that now she's able to hold on to stuff because of where she is now in the hobby. I kind of understand it, but for Black Jaded Wolf, I kind of help her acquire cards through different places. So I understand what it's like to have to get the cards, and then I understand what happens when you need to get more and you have to get rid of them. There's so much. How can we have to sell as much as we can to continue to grow? So it's I look through her collection every day. You mentioned seeing it at the National. I have to see this stuff every day when I come here, and I'm just why is this card still here? It's you see the sales online or at auctions, and it's the card is right here. Let's sell it.
I think really he's very tempted at selling my whole collection, but
she's good at it.
Yeah, so my side is there's 3 of us in this office actually. Another partner, Siobhan Collins, is the co-owner. So it's always good, and we have a vote. We decide, is it time to sell? So there's always, me and him is always one vote his way, one vote my way. So we always have a third person that kind of tiebreaker. So, but almost every day we have that discussion. Is it time to sell now? Is it time to keep this one? Well, obviously, at the end of the day, I have the last say. But
what was the last? I think the last one we did was for a Mahomes ticket, cracked ice. We had a 3-way vote. I think was it 2 and 1 or all 3 said yes? I forget.
No, all 3 said no. Actually,
oh,
said no.
It's funny because there is a strategy. There's a timing to this. I think we can all talk about cards we've sold maybe too early, man, I wish I still had that now, what it's going for. And then the other side of that coin, right? Man, I'm glad I sold that when I did. That thing's kind of taking a little bit of a drop. And so I think you learn, I've done this for over 30 years. I think you learn sort of you try not to anyway, second guess yourself. It is what it is. But what it's done, and it sounds like even there, with you guys there, is it's made you really make conscious decisions let's really think about this here. Speaking with Mahomes, I know we just didn't, they just got beat out by the Bucs in the Super Bowl, but he's a young guy that's going to he's going to win another ring, if not more than one. I hate to say that as a Steeler fan too, but just being honest. And so that he's a perfect example. Do I move this inventory now, or I know there's going to be rings in the future? You know, Brady's going to have to retire at some point. I actually thought they were going to beat the Buccaneers, but so much for that theory. But you know, it's those kind of things you got to think about. Do I wait? Do I kind of I use the term. I've actually coined the term. It's a cooking term, but I call it marinating. Like I'll marinate cards. I'll say, listen, I have this card. I could sell it now, sure, but I think it's beneficial to me if I just kind of put it in a box and sort of not completely forget about it, but forget about it for the time being, and then you know strategically sell it at a later date when maybe when that player you know wins a ring or you know all sorts of scenarios, an MVP, whatever may be the case. And you know people think it's just easy. You know when you do it on a business level at a store, they think, well, everything goes for sale. There's you know you hold nothing back, and I mean maybe some stores do that, but I think there's also some strategy about when to sell, when not to sell. It's like stock market. You know, I know people cringe. Some people cringe when they hear that in reference to sports cards, but let's be real. You know, if you look at the data points, the cards are actually performing better than most stocks percentage wise. And so
Definitely.
to not look at it on that level is sort of doing a disservice. And if you're doing business, you have to make smart decisions on what you're doing, you know, and, you know, how difficult is that? You know, now you're in the big, you know, you're in New York City. I think that even increases the difficulty a little bit.
Well, the expenses obviously having a new store is obviously there, but the good thing about this is I came in with a business, a running business already that kind of would support me. So, but it's always when you sell a big card, there is a chance that you might not be able to acquire that card again.
Yeah.
Especially for the price point that you sold it for. So that's one thing you have to really think about, you know. So we have like a few cards in this office that we always ask each other. Chewy's always asking me, time to sell it. Sell it now, and then we could buy a lot more inventory.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, we have a Luca Black Gold Prism rookie that you know, he's been telling me get our $500,000 now, and you know, we could buy other cards. But I'm like, who else is better to invest there? You know,
still young, got a long career, barring a tragic injury or a career. You know, he's gonna, you know, and that's the tug of war. That's the tug of war that you play. You know, and it's tough. I can't imagine. You know, especially cards on that level. We're not talking about $1,000 card. We're talking about a lot of $1,000 a card, and there's so much at stake. I hate to say it like that, but to not say it like that is not being genuine about it. And so, when you're dealing on that level of value, you have to think on that level. You have to be smart, you know, and you know, I always, you know, I like I said, I had the store in 92 to 97. And other than even then, even the vintage stuff that we know that's crazy today wasn't at that level then. So I didn't have those sort of decisions as in the same vein that you guys have there at Black Jaded Wolf. And it can be, I imagine it can be stressful at times. What do I do here? You know, and, you know, it's difficult. I guess someone listening might say, you know, Sharon, that's a good problem to have. Like I wouldn't be complaining. I'd like to determine whether I want to sell that Black Prism Luca. Like I'd love the opportunity to decide whether I hold that or sell it. But you know, and I get that point of view too. But you know, when you're in that situation, it can be sort of nerve-wracking. What do I do here? You know. I don't want to make a mistake, you know, one way or the other. And so, you know, but, you know, there's also good, you know, someone will look at it obviously as a good problem to have. We're going to step aside for a real quick break to hear from one of our great sponsors, Pastime Marketplace, making the best card cases on the market. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. And remember to save 10% off your total order. Use the promo code SCN10. That's capital S, capital C, capital N, 10 for 10% off your total order at pastimemarketplace.com. Sports Card Nation is back with Sharon and Chewy from Black Jaded Wolf. So how you talk about sort of that push and pull, that tug of war, like, Chewy might say sell this, and you like, nah, I think we should wait a little bit longer or more. Does it ever get contentious or not too bad?
You answered that first. I have a different answer.
I don't think. How do you mean? In what way?
Yeah, contentious meaning, does it ever like you get like mad or animated or really upset, or is it?
I don't think
animated.
I think I do maybe sometimes, but I don't think it's like ever too serious. It's just like we spend a lot of time here together, and we have two different views. Mm-hmm. I've only been in the hobby for 2 or 3 years, as opposed to her being in it for 20 years. So when I look at card value, I can only see it for so long, as opposed to her, where she's seen careers of players like Jeter and Kobe and all these guys play out. Like, I'm here thinking about what happened when this guy got injured last season. Like, that's how I can only see things for that long. Yeah. So it does. I know when she says something that she has the experience to back it up. So, I mean, I can only see the numbers and say, this is a good number to sell. Like, that's a lot of money. And she has more.
I'm more like, I'm very patient. And I've seen, perfect example is Embiid, I mean, he was hot in his rookie year, and then he was injured for 2 years, but I'm very patient, I hold his national treasure when it was 1,500, and then it went to 400, and now it's back to 10,000. I obviously sold it already, but I sold it at the higher price point, basically.
Yeah.
So I have that kind of experience that I know if I buy Bowman Chrome right now, I sell it right away, because in the lifespan of a baseball player, especially minor league young guys, there's always a few years. You have a little room. So I kind of know sell now, and then you could always buy it again and then sell it again. So it's different sport, different experience I have through the years that I kind of change, based on.
Chewy might not like this. I'm more like you with my own inventory, Sharon. I'll wait. I'm more patient. Like I said, I even coined it marinating, which is obviously a cooking term, but I brought it over, and use it in a hobby sense. And sometimes it's hard to do. You're a little leery. What if I hold it too long and the music stops and I still got it? Chewy is gracious enough to say, "Hey, I've only done this a couple years. Here's how I'm seeing it through that lens." A lot of the stuff we're like that, Sharon, is because we've done this a long time. When Chewy gets that, builds up that tenure, he'll be probably more. He might not like to admit it, but he'd probably be more like what we are now, when, as he's in the hobby longer. And that's the beauty. I've always said, like, for my 30-something years in the hobby, I've learned stuff every day. And, whenever I hear somebody say a hobbyist or a dealer or a store owner, I guarantee, I always cringe, because they're really, you can't, even with 30 years in, there is no such thing. There are really no experts. Now, there's some experience that helps you make some decision, but no one knows, when this pandemic, going to the pandemic too, guys, when this pandemic first hit, I was on Sports Card Nation, this show, and I said, going to be rough times in the card hobby. Brace for impact. Remain patient. We got to get past this pandemic, and then cards will be back in the forefront again. I was wrong. We've seen what happened. The opposite happened. I was wrong in all due respect to people who have lost loved ones or people who have died from COVID. I'm talking obviously only on a hobby level. It's been a big year for the hobby, huge, arguably the greatest year in hobby history. If you would have told me that in March of 2020, I would have said you were crazy. I would have said, go get yourself checked out because it's wrong, right? But if you would have said that, you would have been right. I think most of us kind of thought along the lines it may be some tough times, and the opposite happened. Just kind of the perfect recipe. Some of the bonus, the stimulus packages, the unemployment bonuses, people working from home can have all those tabs open on their computer, eBay, Black Jaded Wolf, whatever they're buying their cards, whatever platform. And it was just, it's kind of crazy how this all kind of worked to that level. And, I would have never guessed it. I think it's also a testament to how strong the hobby was already prior to the pandemic. I think that was a huge catalyst. If the hobby wasn't as strong, that maybe would have went a different direction. And you guys know now we're seeing celebrities, the athletes themselves get involved in the hobby. They're on social media with cards of themselves or other people. They even play against. Hey, I'm in the cards. I look at this. What I own this, and we've seen athletes. Actors and celebrities. It used to be, and Sharon, you've been involved in a long time. It used to be where it wasn't as cool to say, "Hey, I'm in the sports card." You kind of you said it. You didn't say it too loud, right? Now it's cool to be in the sports car. We've seen people that left come back, like, oh, that's worth that now. I might still have it at my mom's house. I got to look in my old room or in my garage, and a lot of stuff has went back up, and then there's still stuff that from the junk wax era, as it's called, that's still what it is. It is what it is, and I'm sure you get a lot of those kind of calls. Hey,
especially with the new PSA grading right now, I hear tons of story. They're finding all this stuff in their mom's house, in their old garage. They haven't opened this book for 20 years. And now suddenly they're grading them. Yeah.
What I do too, I get about 2 of those calls, it seems like, per day. And what I do, Sharon, it just because they want me to come over to the can you come over and look at this, tell me what I got. And I used to do that. And I know it's going to sound kind of mean. I don't mean it like that. I'd go there. Maybe I travel 20 minutes, and then you get there, and it's obviously a lot of not great stuff. I'll just be nice about it. And so I have to be the bearer of bad news and say, well, they overproduced a lot of this stuff. It's not, this one, it's $1 here, $2 there, nothing I can really utilize. And, you can see the look on their face, like they're sort of, they envisioned they were about to retire, and you're sort of breaking the news that they have to go to work again on Monday, and it's not what they thought, right? And then for me, it's an hour. It's a 20-minute commute each way. There's 40 minutes. In the 30, 40 minutes, I'm there looking at their stuff, and it's an hour and a half, and I enjoy it. I don't want to sound like Mr. Magoo about it, but you can't get that time back either. So what I've done in the last few years when I get those calls is I just I'll talk to the person, kind of gauge what they might have. A lot of times you probably get to say they're not even really sure themselves, and so what I tell them to do, modern technology, smartphone. I only have one phone number. It's my cell. Take some pictures of what you think is your better stuff, your better stuff out of what you have, and text it to me. And then I can kind of gauge, save me sort of a trip if it's worst case scenario. If I get some pictures and I see some like, oh, maybe it's the opposite of what I kind of expect. And then you call them back and say, okay, let's. You have some things there I saw in the photos you texted, and I'll come check it out. We can go from there. And so I try to help people out as much as I can, but you also have to be honest too. You don't want to give them false hopes, and and lead them, I've had people get mad. I've told people, hey, your stuff's unfortunately not as valuable as you initially thought. Well, I'll talk to someone else. I don't basically saying I don't believe you.
Even to take it to another level, it's like we have people call us and we go through the same situation, but since we're doing grading now,
yeah,
it's like you have another responsibility to help these people not further lose money by submitting them to get graded, because like you have to tell them this card isn't worth grading. Don't invest the money to grade it. Some of these people want to grade their cards no matter what, just because they think they have a chance, and it's like we can tell that the cards are 6s or 5s or even worse, and you have to tell the people not to submit them.
No, it's a great point you make, Chewy, too, is you're being honest with someone, right? And then you just say, listen, if you're grading this because you really like the player, this is your PC, and you're not so much caring about value one way or the other, that's up to you. But if you're grading this because you think it's going to enhance what it will get on the secondary market, I have to be honest with you and tell you that's probably not going to be the case. And you give them that advice, and you come from it from an experience level, and ultimately, I guess it's their decision either to take your advice and listen to you, or say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, right? And so, that's the one of the negative aspects of what the hobby's doing right now is just everybody just thinks it's just you just encapsulate a card and it's instant cha-ching, and in some cases it can be. I don't want to say it can't be, but everyone thinks it's just easy money no matter what card it is. Any card that's a PSA 10 is instant gold mine. That's not how it works. The card itself, there's a saying in the graded industry, right? We've all heard it, right? Grade the card, buy the card, not the slab. Now if the card is something in demand, and then it grades a 10, obviously it's a no-brainer. That's going to enhance the value now, and that's you try to educate and inform people, like you said, Chewy, as best you can, but ultimately they gotta be open to that feedback and trust you that you know what you're talking about, and hopefully listen if you're giving them good advice, and but at the end of the day, that decision, that's going to be theirs to make.
Well, now it's a little harder too, especially with the price change in PSA. They really have to look at the card properly, and kind of it's too expensive to gamble now a little.
It's I wanted to ask you, and you're doing Black Jaded Wolf PSA submissions. They've all raised their prices. SGC's raised their prices. Beckett's, and as you know, we're not talking a couple bucks here. We're talking in some cases double or significant increases. I mean, what do you think of that from someone who's does that as part of their line of work? Like, what are your thoughts?
I actually thought it's a good idea. PSA need to get caught up, and it's starting to be people are just submitting $5 card hoping it will turn to 100, and it's just flooding the market unnecessarily. So to me, I think they have to do this to get caught up, and hopefully it make people think, what's real, is this card really worth grading? It will make you think a little bit more before you grade.
No doubt.
So to me, it's actually a good thing, and I think it will make PSA 10 worth a little bit more being more appreciated, especially even 9s, because not everybody's gonna grade a card and hope it gets a 9.
Yeah. Well, it's Chewy. Your thoughts? Are you thinking along the same lines? Do you have any a different perspective?
I mean, I agree, and I think that's true. But I also think it sucks that you can't submit cards for a decent amount of time and pay $20-$30 like we used to. That was awesome. Obviously, I wish that day may come back sometime. But
Which I think it will. I think in the long run, and after 6 months, they're caught up. I think they will open up again. But right now, I think it's just necessary.
So my take on it a little bit different than yours. I don't really completely disagree with you. I understand the premise. I understand why they're doing it. I'm sort of old school though. Like everything else that goes up, right? Your cable bill, your electric bill, your mortgage. Sometimes I don't like things going up. So I like the one thing to not go up. And so when you hear that, I understand where they're coming from. I understand the strategy they're employing internally, why they're doing it. But I just don't like price increases, especially to that extent. I know it's easy for me to say, like, hey, if you're being overwhelmed with cards, like, you're going to have to train more graders. That's a good business proposition. I always thought it really was a weird, business model. Let's raise prices to get less business. Like, very few businesses can think like that and actually be successful. I think graded cards are going to pull this off, doing that business model. But I think in general, most businesses raise prices. It sometimes leads to disaster or potential disaster. I think in the grading is kind of its own niche onto its own. And so I know why they're doing it. I don't like it, maybe from even a selfish perspective. Like you said, Sharon, now I got to look at a card and say, man, that was a no-brainer at $15. Yep. That was getting sent in. Now I got to really $25. I got to really put this under the magnifying lens and really debate, what it is. And so it's making you think a lot more, and the older I get, I like to think a little bit less, right? And so, so I get it. Another quick break to hear from another one of our great sponsors, the Sports Card Shop at Moco in Michigan, the Goucher family doing awesome things in the hobby. Dad and two sons, and great folks. So if you're in that area or online, check them out.
The Sports Card Shop at Moco is your small-town local shop with a global reach. Conveniently located in New Buffalo, Michigan. We're an easy drive for most residents in Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Come see us every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sundays from 12 to 5. Want to shop from the comfort of your home? Give us a call at 269-469-0140 or visit our website at thesportscardshop@moco.com or our Facebook page. Major credit cards and PayPal accepted, and we ship anywhere in the world. We're an authorized dealer for both Panini and Topps, with new sealed wax from both arriving weekly. And yes, we have PSA and SGC graded cards and over 250,000 singles in stock. Be sure to follow us and turn on notifications for posts to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on new arrivals. The Gocher family has been serving this community for over a decade, so stop by or visit us at thesportscardshop@moco.com.
We are back with Black Jaded Wolf. Another thing I think, someone, I heard somebody else say, I can't remember who it was, I'd give them proper credit. They're like, well, they're raising prices to stop the flow and get caught up, and then they're going to lower back down again. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, when was the last time any kind of business, whether it be your electric company, your cable company, your dish company, has said, hey, awesome news, we're going to lower your bill, right? Probably the only place that maybe qualifies for that is the cell phones company. They're battling each other for the best deals. And, hey, we got a new plan and you'll save some money. But you take out the cell, AT&T and Verizon, very few companies are like, hey, starting next month, your bill, instead of being $100 a month, it's going to be $80, right? If anything, you're just glad it doesn't go up.
Go ahead. They like when they made the change, they did remove some service levels so that maybe in the future, I completely agree that, like, why would they just drop the price? It just doesn't even make sense.
I don't think they will,
But I think that there's a possibility maybe that they will create different service levels that are maybe less expensive in the future. because like
Yeah.
pretty much right now they just don't want 20-day orders or
Yeah, they want to get into that.
Mhm.
I think that 2 to 4 to 5 month, we'll
Yep.
get them back as soon as we can. Let us get caught up. We'll
Mhm.
probably have less cards at this price levels now. It'll allow us to get caught up.
Yep.
But that's my thing, Sharon and Chewy, is if you're going to raise your prices, like, all right, that's your business. You can make it $1,000 a card, and that be the only price level. Period. I mean, it's dumb. It's hypothetical. You can price. It's your business. You can price your services at whatever you want. But if they're doing these significant increases, I'd like to see them say, "Hey, with the significant increases, now we're going to guarantee your turnaround time." And so, if it's
Actually
whatever
took
you want to
that
put,
away instead.
so whether you say, all right, now it's $25 a card, but you're going to get it within 90 days, 3 months. And if it's not in 3 months, we'll give you, $10 off every card that doesn't make it back in the time. Something to throw us a little bit of a bone. Like we're raising, and in some cases, doubling the prices, if not more. I know Beckett was really steep in some of their increases, and so if you're going to increase the price, sort of, you're going to punch somebody in the face, rub their back a little bit too, and give them something else. And so
they're basically saying because of you grading, you're putting it $50. You could triple that value of that card. Now your $50 card could be $500. That's that's what they're thinking. They're thinking what you could gain. You give us 5% of the fees of what the card is worth, and you could gain $400-$500. So they want a piece of it, basically.
Yeah, and that leads right into something that my biggest pet peeve with PSA specifically, I think you probably know where I'm going, is the up charges. Like, why penalize someone because they have a really good card? Like, that makes me mad. I'm gonna be honest with you. It makes me more mad. The up charges make me more mad than the price increases. If you want to charge $50 a card across the board, that's your business. But if I send in a LeBron, Bowman Chrome rookie, and it grades out a 10, and then you want to upcharge me, I don't even know I don't have that card, but I don't know what kind of upcharge we'd be looking at. Why am I being penalized for saying, hey, PSA, I love you so much to trust you with this kind of card, then grade it? Why in turn, because I have that kind of card, say, oh, thank you. And guess what? It graded out at this level, and now we have to charge you this. It's still being graded and looked at by the same amount of people, right? Still the same size card. What what I mean? That really irks me. I think it's bad business. It doesn't hurt their business. Let's be real.
The way that we like to explain it to customers when they come in, because there's a lot of new people who have no idea at all what's going on. So we have to explain to them why we don't charge them up front. They're always surprised to find out that they don't have to pay when they're dropping the cards off, and then we have to explain you pay when they come back in case there's an upcharge. And so then we tell them that, like, let's say before you're sending a card at $20, you're only allowed to send cards that are worth up to $4.99 on the $20 level. So if that card gets a 10 and it's worth more than $500, they're pretty much going to charge you for the next level, because they're saying that card should have been sent on the $40 level, not the $20 level.
They want you to be upfront about it. Basically.
Yeah, so that's just what we explain to the customers when they come in.
But it also goes into sort of a gray area, Chewy. Like, who are you to say like what the value is, right? Let's be real. What are the values, right? Most people would answer that question and say, at this point in time, it's eBay comps, right? It's past sales or most recent sales, I should say, and that's ever changing. And like, I don't know, can PSA say, hey, this is what it's worth, and we're going to ask you for more money? It's almost like I expect them to have me up at gunpoint. Like, all right, fork over more cash. Like, it make more sense. that aspect rubs me the wrong way. I think whatever you want to charge per card, grade the card. That's what you're paying for, the grading service. I don't like that the fact, especially since you're raising the cost of the grading service to weed out some of those lesser valued cards anyway. Why penalize the people who are submitting some of those higher end cards? That's what you want, so that's what you want, and then you're just bashing those people over the head with a mallet, saying, "Yeah, we win-win, right? We don't get those $5 or $10 cards, and you send us your $10,000 card, and we're going to charge you more too." It's just, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. That's probably not going to go away. They're going to say, "Okay, John, are you done? Good. All right."
I think one day somebody's have to have heard you talk about it, because I think you mention it on every show.
I probably talk about it every other week, because that's how bad people probably hear, and they're like, "All right, John, we get it. You know, like, I don't like them either, but nothing's going to change. What do you let it go. Move on with your life." So I guess I feel better venting about it. It's almost therapeutic, but you're right. It's probably not going to change. It's just going to be part of the par for the course. Part of the comes with the territory, as they say. Going to the current events. I mean, the hobby's just you both know it's just on fire. We've seen it even go past sports cards into non-sports cards with Marvel. Wrestling cards increased. I mean, we're seeing even some movie cards now start to obviously Pokemon. I don't do it, but it's just insane. I mean, it's bouncing into every genre of cards, and it's just, if you could guess like what's next before the jump, you obviously you'd make some money there. I mean, there's two trains of thought. I get asked all the time. There's people who think this is not going to end well. There's no way this can go up to this fast of a crescendo and not have sort of a rough ending. And then I sort of think, it's not going to continue going up. Everything has to, there's ebbs and flows, I think. And so I use the term, I call it rather than a crash or the bottom falling out, I think we're going to have a market correction. I think some of the vintage stuff, some of the really high-end limited stuff, single-digit stuff is not going to really go down. I think, what we saw this year, I'm sure you've seen it at the store, Black Jaded Wolf. You've seen even second-year cards went, Luka Prism, second year at one point, like $100. We've seen now even the Jordan stuff, even after his rookie, a 90 Fleer card that I don't have 100 anymore, but I've got probably five or 10 of them. That was a $2 card in a player box. That card's now $10-$20. If it's graded, forget about it. You're looking at, I think I saw one. Don't quote me, like a PSA 10 of that, bring almost four figures. Almost, like, that's insane. And so I think there's going to be a correction. And I think where we're going to see it is on the sort of the non-rookie cards. So some of those second, third-year cards that really not the limited stuff that just went up in trajectory with their rookie counterparts. I think that's where the correction comes. Number one, I guess, to each of you to answer is, do you think it's going to be more of a correction or a crash, like some might say? And why do you think, and what do you think, sort of what I just did explain, sort of where you think the hobby's going to go?
I honestly think there will be a correction overall and on a broader sense, but obviously some things are just going to crash completely when we're talking about like non-sports cards things. I mean, it's just not sustainable, I don't think, for a lot of these random things. I mean, people are starting to grade Yu-Gi-Oh cards now. It's like there's so much stuff coming in that was like mass produced, and there's like some of this stuff is like not limited at all. There's nothing special about it besides that it's just 20 or 30 years old. So but for sports cards, I do agree that there will be a correction, and it would be seen on those second or third year cards before anything. I think the hobby right now, we were just talking about it yesterday, is like just in this, it feels like we're in this like weird period for everything when it comes to distribution, to grading, to wax. Every part of the hobby is like in a weird like waiting period right now. I think that it's only going to get better, honestly. I think it's going to change for the better. I think it's like a growing pain that it's going through right now. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Another quick break to hear from another one of our great sponsors, Iron Sports Cards. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA submissions. They offer various service levels at the lowest prices around. They even provide the card savers your cards need to be submitted at no extra charge. Their elite status helps improve turnaround times, and their chat rooms keep you abreast of your subs and the status of your cards. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. Sports Card Nation is back with Sharon and Chewy.
Some good growing pain, if this is growing pain, right? My thing is, I think it's the bubble is just starting. Actually, I think it's even gonna get bigger because I think other countries are gonna get involved, other people are gonna get involved. I think soccer is gonna get bigger, and I think it's just starting. Obviously, like any bubble, there's always it could burst, but I think right now to me it's just starting. So I'm not afraid of it. I think mistakes right now it could be covered up quickly, basically, because there's other stuff. If you have variety, you almost can't lose right now.
Yeah, it's almost like a portfolio. You diversify.
Yes.
Even if one thing goes kind of downward trend, you have two other things going, spiking up. So you got your bases covered. Great point.
Yes.
Great point.
You just got to have, 75% doing well than the 25% that's not doing well.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be great if that's the case,
Yeah, and another term you mentioned, Sharon, with the bubble, you saying that, I think someone asked me too, and I'm sure you get asked questions like this. Like, if the bubble was to burst, what would be the catalyst? What would be the cause? What would have to happen for that to happen? And so my answer is this. And I'm not saying it can't happen. Do I think it's going to happen? I'll say no. But what would have to happen for that crash that some folks or prognosticators would predict? I think for all the new people that came in very quickly, they would have to leave rather abruptly, just the same way. If that was to happen, then we could see what some would call, myself probably included, a real crash. But the odds of I'm not saying that there are going to be people that came into the hobby that don't stay. They're going to leave. That's just that happens under all years. Yep. That's not a new phenomenon. But we haven't seen this sort of mass influx of new folks in the hobby like we have in 2020 and the start of 2021. And so if the crash, to me, if someone's saying what would cause the crash, it would be a mass exodus for whatever reason of people just saying, I'm selling all my stuff, I'm out. And then there's no new buyers for that stuff. They sort of leave everyone else holding the bag. And so do I see that scenario occurring? No, I don't. But that would be, to me, in my mind, in my putting on my prediction hat, that would be the only way we would see what some people would call a crash. I think the correction happens regardless of how many people leave or stay. I think that's just naturally going to go back. Some things are going to go back to levels they probably should have always been at. We see a 90 score Bo Jackson, a card that was $1. Now it's $30 raw. It's graded 10. It's going for almost $1,000. It's just crazy. I think that kind of stuff is going to sort of slowly, like a balloon, sort of the air. You get that helium balloon, it's up at the ceiling, and then it's sort of like the next day you look at it, and it's like 3/4 of the way up, and then a couple of days later it's getting lower. I think that's what we're going to see with a lot of the non-rookie, non-high end stuff. The stuff we're seeing at like Golden Auctions and Heritage and those places of those ilk that are bringing 5.2, 4.6, those kind of levels. That stuff is what it is. I think that's pandemic proof. I think that stuff is crash proof, and I think those are being purchased by folks who have that kind of income and that kind of bankroll, where the market trends don't even affect those kind of cards on that level. And so that's how when I get asked that question, I kind of interviewed myself right there. But that's how I always answer that question. I think we're going to see a correction, but if for some odd reason there was just a bunch of people said we're out of here, we're done with cards, that's where the risk could be.
I don't think it's likely, and it makes me think of like maybe around when the pandemic started, I would listen to this show and you would talk about the Topps 2020 crowd of people and how we should be more welcoming to everyone.
I'm a welcomer. Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
True. Like, it's definitely true. There's a lot of people who at that time didn't want to accept certain people way of thought into the hobby and whatever. Like there was a lot of making fun of people and stuff like that, and that it's just like not necessary. Like it's just to the future of the hobby. So
we were all new at some point. We didn't come in and we didn't have 10 years experience the first day we opened a pack of cards or bought a card. You have to start somewhere. When I started in 1979 as a 7-year-old kid, that was when I started. Everyone was nice to me. I don't understand why people are like that, Chewy. That's why it really bothers me. I don't know. Some hobbyists are territorial. I hear this too. I see this too. Well, I've been doing this for 10 years. You've only been doing this 3 years. Like, there's no pension plan here. Like, my 36 years to your 3 years. I'm not picking on you. I'm just using it for an example. But my 36 years doesn't make me any better than your 3. Maybe it makes me a little more experienced. I've seen some more stuff. But just like I was on this show in March saying this is going to be a rough year, I was wrong. So what did my 36 years of I guess wrong there. So I don't think how long you're in the hobby makes you any better than anyone else. And I wish people, Chewy, and that's why I talk about it probably a lot, is I wish people were more accepting of everyone. Whether you're a player collector, a set collector, you do high end, you do graded, you don't like graded, whatever your thing is, that's your business. Like, you're in the hobby, we're in this hobby together. There's more than one way. There's numerous ways to hobby. There's numerous ways to do it. And I don't know why, we have enough of that in society where if you don't think along my lines politically or beliefs wise, you're bad and I'm good, or you're wrong and I'm right. We gotta get past that. Like, we can have differences of opinion. We can collect differently and still enjoy the hobby as a whole and together and share experiences. And when I came in, I'm sure there was a little bit. I mean, it always exists, but not on the level I'm seeing in today's day and age. And I'd be lying if I said it doesn't really sort of hurt my heart when I see. I got to start as a kid. Kids in the hobby are a huge platform of mine, and it'd be scary, if I was 7 years old today rather than in 1979. I honestly not sure I'd be in the hobby in today's day and age. It's just, number one, we got so many things pulling kids' attention, social media now that didn't exist in 1979. And so when I see kids in the hobby, when I see anyone, I shouldn't even just narrow it down to kids. When I see anyone new in the hobby, whatever your reasons are, hey, you're in the hobby, you're transacting, you're keeping the hobby that I'm passionate about and loving, going and moving forward. Some people say, "Oh man, the flippers, they buy on Monday, sell on Tuesday." So what? What? This is America. Like, when did that become? Like, who hasn't? Who hasn't? Very few people can't say they bought, even not a card, but something else that was a great price, and then turned around and know they could, sell it for more on eBay or someone, even in person. Like, hey, you're selling that? I don't even want it. Well, you're selling it so cheap, I'm just going to, sell to someone else. And so to belittle or knock someone else for that really gets my goal. Like, who are they hurting? Like, you don't have to buy it from them. If they're flipping it, well, they're driving the price up. They're not driving the price up. Who's driving? The people who are putting out the money and making the purchases.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That train of thought always irks me. I'm not going to change the world. I'm a realist. I know that. But, sometimes talking about it, you feel better. It's almost your own self-counseling, if you will. And I hope eventually we kind of get back to the hobby. I sound like the old man on the porch, but, where we all can kind of get along, even if we collect in different sort of forms and fashions and that sort of thing. So, we'll see. Hopefully we get better, at least in that category. So kind of coming down to the wire here, talk about you're right near the Barclay. How did you find that location? Talk about, where you are and, all that stuff.
I always wanted to have a store, but I also travel a lot for shows. So I don't have time to be tied down to a store. But obviously pandemic happened, and the only way I could see my customers right now and continue this is having opening a spot. But I wouldn't have done this if I didn't meet Chewy, actually, because I would not do it myself. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise meeting him through TJT, and he's kind of like right now partner in crime when it comes to in the office. I mean, we see each other almost 6 to 7 hours a day. In a small office. So we're 2 blocks away, and it's very convenient for people. And we're trains. There are different trains here. New York, you need trains, and parking is obviously a little tough, but we take the train. It's very convenient location, and I fell in love with this spot once I saw it. So
and you're near the Barclay Center, obviously, where the Islanders play and the provide Brooklyn Nets. I'm a New York Ranger fan, so I'm not going to say my Islanders, but I wish the Rangers would play in Barclay. Then I'm already a Ranger fan. That just would make me even more in love with them. But
I'm a Ranger fan too, so.
Yeah. So, do you think that's helped you, like being so close to the arena? Has that been a positive, or because of the pandemic, maybe not as much as obviously if there wasn't a pandemic?
It's very helpful because I tell people, where are you in Brooklyn? I'm 2 blocks from Barclay Center. Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Almost 90% people are like, oh yeah, I know where that is. So
yeah, it would probably be more obvious if it wasn't a pandemic, but it definitely is like a place where people feel safe bringing,
valuables.
Like if they don't know us, they're bringing valuable items. You know what I mean? So when you say, oh, we're on Flatbush Avenue next to the Barclay Center, most people will feel comfortable coming. So
well, that's cool. You're doing, obviously you have cards, you have a tremendous inventory that goes without saying. You're doing the grading submissions. Just kind of, I always give the guests the final word, give out your website, where people can see what you're doing, see what you got available for potential sale, and how they can find you and utilize your services.
So we basically, for buy and sell, for a sports card, we have blackjadedwolf.com.
Instagram
Black
Jaded Wolf Facebook Black Jaded Wolf, and
Grading by Black Jaded Wolf.
Grading by Black Jaded Wolf on Instagram, and I think eBay is just
Black Jaded Wolf.
Yeah, she got Black Jaded Wolf on everything. So she got her real estate.
Yeah, so
that's smart. Yeah, but go ahead. That's smart.
So if you go to Black Jaded Wolf, you could click on submission. It leads you to the Grading by Black Jaded Wolf site also.
We're also on the PSA website under their dealers too as well.
We're under their dealers, and we're also under their top group featured submission group. So
yeah, awesome stuff. I get to Brooklyn. With the pandemic, I'll be honest with you, I haven't made my yearly trip. I still have family there that I think once we get on the other side of that, we got the good vaccine news kind of starting. I'm definitely going to get back, visit some family, and
we'd love to have you.
Come in. We'll do this again. We'll just do an in-person interview, and check it out in person. Well, awesome, Sharon Chewy. Continued success. What you're doing. Appreciate you making some time for the show. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'm assuming you're going to be at the National. I'll at least see you. I'll see you in Chicago, and then I'll home and away. I'll see you hopefully in the Brooklyn location before too long as well.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I know the chunky that left these chunkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Sports Card Nation. All right, it's time for Newman's Rambling, where I select one question I get each week and answer it on the air.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. All right, today's question comes from Mid-Infield Sports from Twitter. They're actually about the third person to ask sort of this question in sort of a different sort of way. And so basically the question is, he says, hey, I listened to your podcast, both of them. Enjoy both of your shows. Follow you on Twitter. I see sometimes you post that you're selling a lot of cards. How do you balance, what's a day in the life like of Sports Card Nation between producing content and selling cards? He kind of wants me to kind of give him sort of a play-by-play. And I've gotten two other DMs sort of asking, whether it's like, what are your secrets or what are your tips to get all this done, and you have a family too. And it would be a long-winded answer here. I know it's going to be sort of a cop-out. I'm not going to really give an answer. I've decided, I'm not sure when I'll release it. I'm going to do a hobby quick hits. It's going to be, I don't know what I'll title the episode, A Day in the Life, or a mundane day in the life of, Sports Card Nation, John Newman. But I'll kind of give, 10, 12 minutes of how I sort of balance it out. When do I record? How do I ship? I ship every day at this point. And so, how do I weave all that in my day? How do I spend time with my family and all, things like that? I think, I'm not saying I'm any better than anyone else, but I've had some people ask, and so I'll do a 10 or 12 minute episode on Hobby Quick Hits. I'm not sure when, maybe in the next few weeks, and release that. If no one's interested, they don't have to download the show. I'll put it in the description what it is. So if someone wants to skip that episode, they're more than welcome to. But I've gotten enough sort of interest in that to produce it, and I will. So I know I didn't answer that here mid-infield, but look for that Hobby Quick Hits probably within the month, and we'll kind of do a day or a week, if you will, how I balance work life, personal life, business life, and content creation. And I'll probably include a few tips in there as well. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. All right, time for our in memoriam segment of the show where we recognize people of the sports world that we've lost. Let's start with NBA legend, March 22nd at the age of 86. Elgin Baylor passed away. 14 years as a player, Hall of Fame in 1977. He was the first pick in the 1958 draft and won the Rookie of the Year award. 11-time All-Star, was a coach and executive, including Executive of the Year in 2006, was a coach and executive for over 20 years in the league, and that was after a 14-year playing career. Arguably regarded as the best player to never win a championship. Also appeared on numerous TV specials, a very popular player back during his playing days. Elgin Baylor, gone at age 86. The next gentleman comes from the football world. We lost him on March 27th. Howard Schnellenberger, coached in college and the pros many years, many teams, too many really to go through. Known for one thing at each level. He was on the staff of the 72 undefeated Miami Dolphins, and he was the head coach of your 1983 Miami Hurricanes national championship college team. Howard Schnellenberger passes away at age 87. So that's going to do it for another episode of Sports Card Nation. As always, want to thank you out there listening, downloading the show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It's made us what we are today, and I'm very humbled and thankful for that fact. Want to thank my two guests today, Chewy Francisco, Sharon Chong, doing great things over at Black Jaded Wolf in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Check them out. They gave out all their URLs and websites and social medias. Check out what they're doing. They're doing bulk submissions for grading. Get that little cheaper rate and have a good track record there and some inventory. Check out their website. Their website doesn't do their inventory justice. They've got some insane stuff to say the least. And I want to thank them both for sharing their thoughts on where the hobby's going. A little bit different in their thinking, but always fun to talk shop with people right on the front lines as they both are. So a couple programming notes. If you're a fan of Hobby Hotline, the Saturday morning show where a bunch of us podcasters get together and do a show, a live show, call in. A lot of us are heading to the Dallas show on May 20th. We are going to do a live from the show, Hobby Hotline. You're probably going to see or hear from myself, Drew, Val Mars will be there, coming in from North Carolina as well. Brad Bethune already will be there. He lives in Texas. Uncle Rich Klein will be there as he's in Texas. Dr. James Beckett, that's his hometown, his adopted hometown. He'll be there, probably make an appearance. And Kyle Robertson from the show itself is going to join us. So I know it's a ways away, but I'm excited, so I wanted to give an early plug. That'll be May 20th. Maybe some giveaways and some other surprises, but going to be fun, and not sure how we're going to do it. Maybe walk around, kind of do a live broadcast from a POV point of view. We'll see. Very early stages. So but definitely going to be doing a special edition Hobby Hotline May 20th. And again, shows are starting to kick up. If you're listening to the show, more people, are getting vaccinated. Here in New York, now if you're 16 years old or older, they've opened that up for vaccines. If you're listening to this show on release date, I am getting my Johnson & Johnson vaccine today in the evening. So people are getting vaccinated, masking up. Hopefully we can get on the other side of this. Shows are starting to schedule events. You heard Ray Schulte last week on this very program say, hey, book your air, book your transportation, book your lodging. The show is a go as he speaked. And, so hopefully we get, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. I understand safety and I'm all for that. I do it. I'm a person that respects that. But at the same time, we can't just go in the fetal position and in the corner. We got to keep going forward, keep the economy moving forward. So, if we have to go to shows and wear masks and use hand sanitizer, then what's so terrible, right? We've been wearing masks now for over a year almost. So what's wearing a mask? You can go out in the hallway away from someone, get some fresh air if you need to, but wearing a mask is a minor inconvenience. So I can only speak for myself, but I don't have a problem doing it. Like my wife's a nurse, and like she says, we're gonna probably be wearing masks even when we don't have to. You're gonna see people do that and just be precautionary. I think it's the new world we're living in, and there's worse things in life. So with that being said, speaking of that, I hope this episode finds you and yours well and doing good, and I hope if that's the case, that remains that way. So again, we'll see you in 7 days. Remember, new episode of Hobby Quick Hits, our other smaller non-guest show, every Monday. So a few days, we'll give you another one of those, and then next Friday we'll be back with Sports Card Nation, the longer interview show. So with that being said, God bless, take care. We'll see you very soon.